Hello, folks. Welcome to this next interview for Energy Matters. I'm really appreciating folks watching it, and I especially appreciate the comments. So I could not be more excited to introduce my guest today, Lynn Johnson. Lynn is, she's one of those people that is born to open your heart. She is one of the most amazing leaders and thought leaders I've ever met. And she has a business or a organization called Hella Social, was it Hella Social Justice?
Hella Social Impact.
Oh, Hella Social Impact. And man, does she make an impact. I have the privilege of being, having a little bit of taste of this community. What she's doing is evolutionary in the most powerful of ways. I can't wait for you to meet her, and I'm going to just stop talking about her and let you actually hear from her herself. So Lynn, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Thanks for making the time.
Oh my gosh, I'm so full up already from that introduction. Oh, I'm like, can I be blushing? I'm not sure, but that's how I feel right now. Thank you.
You look a little
so
heated.
A little, yes. Thank you so much for having me, Vicki.
Absolutely. So I wanted to just begin by saying you are a social justice leader in a very dynamic, integrative way. And I think that doing the type of work that you do in the world calls upon a tremendous resource of energy, like a wellspring of energy. And I was wondering when you think about energy, since this is the Energy Matters page, when you think about energy, what do you think about in terms of both what you draw on, what it takes? What are your thoughts about how energy integrates with your work, bringing people to basically a new paradigm of how we can be in the world?
I think about energy in a lot of different ways. I mean, first of all, as I'm going through this work, I'm not going to keep it a secret that I've known you for a long time, and I've had the uh, honor and privilege of studying with you. And so, even though it's been a while since I've been in one of your classes, the work sticks with me.
Mhm.
And you've taught me so much. And just the other day, in fact, like literally 2 days ago, my wife and I were kind of in a real, I've been in a real funk over the last, I was gonna say 4 years, but I mean, that's a joke. I've been specifically been in a funk in the last couple of weeks because of a number of things that have happened. Um, and like I was kind of, there's that feeling of like, I'm just gonna act it out, like that kind of like retreating in, like drawing in, kind of like um almost turning off, right? Like I just don't want to deal with anybody. I don't want to go outside, that kind of thing.
Sort of like a
Um,
contraction.
yes, like that contraction, yes.
Mhm.
And my wife said, like she was feeling that same energy, and we were trying to like get into a creative space, and she said, um, gosh, I need some sort of inspiration now, like God hit it. And I was like, ooh, do you want to do the shower? And she said, yes. And so we like kind of backed up and in our office, and we like, really like, and like just even now feeling it, like you just like feel like all the hair stands in the back of your neck, and like you feel it, and it kind of like wakes you up, and it really helps. And so one thing is I'm definitely doing practice. I'm like I'm moving the chi when I can.
Now I'm blushing. So but I'm so honored to know that the work has been supportive to
Oh,
you, because the work you do in
definitely.
the world means so much to me. So this is such good news to me. I'm just so honored by what you just said.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think the I'm always trying to find that like it's not about balance per se, like trying to maintain a balance, but it's always like trying to, um, hold a lot of different potentially like opposite feelings and energies at once, right? So I feel like, um, because I help leaders and organizations become anti-racist, um, and show up for racial justice. And there's a lot of my Black friends and colleagues. Some of them will say like, I don't know how you do that work, because I work with a lot of different types of people. I work with white people, I work with people of color, and especially in working with white people, some of my Black friends are like, how do you even do that? Like, I'm not sure I have the energy for it. And I'm like, well, I feel like I've always been a teacher my whole career, and I feel like called to teach. And so I feel like I have to bring that energy of like, I'm here to teach and provide, um, you know, to provide you an opportunity to learn. At this very same time, I'm trying to like have a protective energy around like, you have to do your own learning and I still have to take care of myself at the same time that I'm needing to teach. And so it's like this kind of always this this like back and forth movement of like kind of like how I learned from you, this kind of expansion, and like finding that kind of like all the time, putting
Mhm.
yourself out there, but also putting yourself in a little hive, you know, hibernate all the
Yeah,
time.
I can only imagine. I mean, and I just want to honor the generosity of your spirit to just do what you're doing, and the generosity of your spirit towards yourself, that you are allowing taking care of yourself to be also primary or instrumental in terms of how you serve, which is really, to me, very, it's a very amazing way to approach this work. So it's not just taking it out of your, out of your soul or out of your hide. You're really taking care of yourself. And I'm sure there are times when it's taking out more than you feel ready to give. But I think that, I think that you're so wise in terms of how you're talking about it. Tell us a little bit about uh, Hella's social impact, I mean, so you're working with organizations to become anti-racist, but tell us a little bit more about what you're doing and how you do it, and some of your principles, if you feel willing to share that.
Yeah. So we are an organization, Hella Social Impact. I have three business partners. We're all Black women, not Black and non-Black women of color, the four of us, and we actually we're a business that was born out of the tragedy and opportunity of 2020. We at the time of George Floyd's murder, we were all working together at a different organization doing marketing, and we were the four women of color kind of in leadership positions in the whole, or the only four people of color actually, in leadership in the organization, and we were kind of called, literally and figuratively, to kind of work with this organization that was white, primarily white led and white run, as they were, like many companies, were trying to figure out like, how do we respond in this moment. And we're like, okay, here, we actually know, here's how you respond, here are the things that we do, let's figure out how we can help our organization move through this. And there was a lot of movement that happened, and we saw a lot of places where the organization can move, and saw a lot of the places where the organization was afraid to move and couldn't move, and how to like help them through that. And it was a lot of work, and on top of the jobs they were already doing. And um and we said, what we're doing here is something that we need to do for more organizations and for more leaders. And so we very lovingly said goodbye to that organization and started Hella at the end of 2020. And we really are doing the work of, um, organizational culture, like, and how to tell, how to create a culture of true equity and inclusion, and how to really talk about that, how to tell that, because culture, as you know, Vicky, requires really good storytelling. And so uh, we work with organizations to really align their internal values and culture with their external commitments to the work. So, we don't, you've seen a lot, right? How you go to an organization, we work with nonprofits, for profits, and you go to an organization's website and you see their values listed there and their mission. Then you hear all this stuff about like what they actually are like, and you're like, those don't quite match up. So we help take folks through a process of being like, hey, here's what you say your values are. Here's what you say you're working towards in terms of impact. And how do we connect the dots along the way through storytelling, really through like, how do we like tell that story all the way through and align all the pieces?
One of the
Um,
things I love
yeah,
about your mission and your way of doing that is that you are very intentionally centering the stories of Black and non-Black people of color, so that it really helps to, it really changes the kaleidoscope from how DEI work often happens, which is still somehow comes through a white gaze. So there's something about how you're doing this and centering this that, especially because it's about story, that feels really like this is the change that we need. This is what we need to hear.
yeah, I love that observation, because I think one of my colleagues, Stefania Pomponi, she always says we're not your typical DEI consultants, and what I think she means by that is that we're not here to like make, like, kind of clean things up and make things feel good for everybody. We're doing the work for for racial equity and social and racial justice. So when you talk about racial equity and racial justice, right, we're talking about shifting power and control and resources and comfort,
And
um,
structure.
and
And structure.
structure
Yeah.
to the folks who've been left out, who've been left out. And so in order to do that, we have to start now by centering those folks. And so, so yeah, I like how you said that, because that's what makes us a little bit different, is that we're really trying to get, and so it makes folks go like, wait, that's not how we've been doing it. And we're like, yeah, we know.
That's it. That's
That's
the
the
point. Yeah, well, it's I really, having, an opportunity, you maybe talk a little bit about the platform that you are creating, that not just the work that you do with specifically with organizations, but there's a platform that you're creating for people to really learn, and the ways in which I feel, and I know others feel, just so welcomed and brought in and heard and honored, and the camaraderie of let's build this vision together, and none of
together.
us is doing it alone. There's something about the ways in which you all walk your talk that is really it's just very inspiring to be part of. So talk a
Mhm.
little bit about the platform, and also, of course, I want to talk about this anniversary or commemoration coming up. I don't like to call it an anniversary, that sounds too happy, but the 25th is such a big day that brings up so many feelings for so many of us. And I know that you're planning something that's for everybody. So I want to hear about both of those things, your platform and also what you're doing around the George Floyd commemoration.
Great, great. So yeah, so in working with organizations kind of through a, fairly traditional consulting model, like, organizations want a DEI consultant and they pick us, so they don't, we I've been most excited about the the people, like the individual people in the organization who are like, you know, sometimes it's like there's the person, because after, in 2020, like thousands of companies created a diversity position, right? Without much thought. Well, we need a person, and like that person is there with like not much support and resources, and that person's like, maybe what am I doing? I'm not sure what I'm doing. Or I know what I'm doing, but I'm not getting the support. No one else sees what I'm doing. Like I always like latch onto that person. Um, or it could be the person who's like, I'm not even being paid to do this, but like no one else is talking about this. So someone's got to, and what's going on here? And then there are folks like, then I kept meeting folks like individual folks like you or other friends of mine or people who are like building these incredible brands and businesses and platforms and who are like doing the work and like, how do I, the way that I build my brand and my platform, how do but I care. This is like at the heart of who I am. I'm out here as a solopreneur. Like, what do I do? Right. So I was like, we got to bring all these folks together.
Mm.
Like, that's what we got to do because it can feel very lonely. Like, you feel like, why isn't everyone caring about the same things I care about? And we're out here. But now we can come together in the Hella community. And the Hella community is a digital online platform that we've been beta testing since March with an amazing group of about 35 people. And it's like my dream. It's I think Mickey, it's kind of like the dream I never knew I had that's coming
Mm.
to life now.
Oh, I love how you put that.
Yeah, because it's about the leaders. I mean, like we can work with all kinds of companies and stuff, but people move companies all the time. People, even entrepreneurs, like create new businesses and new things. So I'm excited to work with the people who are like, I'm here for this. I'm ready to do this, but I need support. I need some knowledge. I need some learning, and I need to connect with my people so that we can make things happen. So that's what the Hell community is. And that's what we're doing, and
It's
we're
all about
yeah,
connection. It's all
it's all
about
about
connection.
connection.
And it's all about energy, right? Because then we're energetically, this is building. I mean, even as you talk, I can feel myself sitting up straighter, right? And I can feel goosebumps coming up because when you said, I'm living the dream I didn't know I had, and I think, well, that's what you're doing on a meta way also with this community that you're building. Is we're building a community that I had visions of what might be possible, but really, it's not just my vision. It's like when we start to create this kind of collective exchange and honesty and transparency and willingness to be uncomfortable and all the various things that go along with being, working through difference but sharing certain values. That we're building something we haven't even been able to imagine because it doesn't exist, right? It's not there yet. So just like you didn't have that there yet of like, oh, I'm going to be this leader doing this and that. That's sort of what you're doing professionally as well.
That's right. Now I'm sitting up straighter.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
thank you for the intense amount of labor that you put in, because I know you put an enormous amount of labor into making this platform what it is, and I know it's going to grow, and I'm excited to let you folks here in the Energy Matters community know about what Lynn is doing, and please check that out. We'll be posting links, of course, but tell us about Wednesday. What's happening on Wednesday for
Yes.
opening for the community?
Yeah. So like you said, this is an event for everybody, not just for the community. We very much honor. I can't say without closing my eyes. We very much honor both the life and the death of George Floyd. We call him Mr. Floyd, and on it was May 25th, 2020, that he was murdered, and we all of us here listening and watching, we're rocked by it all and why the aftermath of it all. It changed everyone's life, and so last year we marked the day, and this year we will mark the day as well with an online, a virtual community gathering. Will just be 30 minutes that's it. It's just a moment we call it a moment of mindfulness. We do a lot of mindful practice, a lot of somatic practice in our work. And because, like we said at the beginning of this interview, it takes a lot to kind of figure out how to navigate all that energy. And so we'll be coming together. It will be at 8:30 a.m. Pacific time, 11:30 Eastern time, and just a quick 30 minutes of doing some breathing together, listening. I'll be reading some poetry. There'll be a little bit of movement. It's just going to be a time to know we're not alone in this honoring of this man,
Well, thank you.
and many others.
And
Um,
many, many others.
yes,
Yeah, I know you did some of that type of mindfulness work right after the Buffalo um, uh, thing happened. I don't even know if murders happened, and it was something that I needed like medicine. So I am really looking forward to Wednesday and being able to be with you to have this medicine, because we need to not push it away and just sort of like, okay, we got to move forward. We need to actually incorporate what these changes happen. I keep thinking about Mr. Floyd's daughter, who said, my dad changed the world, or something like that. She said something
yeah,
like, my dad, my
yeah,
dad has changed the world. And so to be able to take some time to honor this at the same time as continue to work to change everything that would make Black people unsafe in this way,
yeah.
is it couldn't be more important. So
It could be
thank you
more
for.
important, and hopefully, the coming together. It's like having been experiences with you in your classes where, like, what that feels like. I'm feeling it right now, to move chi with other people, there's so many times when those of us, especially those of us who are not men, right, women and gender non-conforming folks, and like we're just kind of like, we gotta handle it, we gotta do it ourselves.
Yeah.
And we might have our close friends that we kind of talk to, but the power of being vulnerable in community like that, it's just, the payoff is just,
Mm,
when you
mm.
can move that much energy together. And even though we're going to be in a Zoom webinar, it doesn't matter. Like, it's still moving. And you taught me that.
Oh, thank you, Lynn. I mean, I think that the thing that part of what you bring into the holding this space is what I want folks to know. I want you to come. And I also want you to know that you can trust Lynn to hold the space. You can trust her to hold it well, because this is a very vulnerable and critical time. So, so thank you for that, Lynn.
Thank you.
So, is there anything else that you want to say to people before we close this conversation? I always feel like I could talk to you forever. Oh, my light just went off, so that told me.
Okay, we're done.
So is there anything you want to let people, tell people just as in closing?
Yes, I want to just really quick give one more answer to your very first question, because it just came to me, and I think it's a good thing to end on. And that is, I'm always telling people, in this work, uh, particularly white people, but everybody, that we talk about. I do the work of talking about racism, racial justice, because it's the one thing that most people don't want to talk about, and that has to be talked about. And so it makes us very uncomfortable. So it's that thing we hear all the time, right? You have to be comfortable being uncomfortable, and you have to work through it. And And I'm just feeling right now how I'm feeling that right now in my own life.
Mm.
And with every, because so many things, like the other day I was stretching after a long walk and I was stretching and I was like, oh, that kind of hurts. And I was like, oh, but stay with the discomfort, stay with the discomfort because you'll come out the other side. It'll change you. And like that, if I could give any energy, wisdom to anyone who's like thinking about like doing like showing up for social justice at all, is to like do like think about that practice, like how many times you can like find that place of discomfort and like work through it, even if it's slow, and that you come out the other side different.
Absolutely. And when I think about that stretching, it's like that's what creates optimal health, right? When we're stretching
Yeah.
ourselves, stretching not just our muscles, but if we think, I love that metaphor, it's so embodied and at the same time it's so much bigger because that's where we end up feeling like we're loose, we can move, we've stretched,
Right.
we can
Yeah.
connect, we can love. So I love that. That's a great addition to the initial question. Thank you so much, Lynn. So thank you for being here. Thank you guys for watching, and please click on the link. Go ahead and register. It's free. Join us for uh, a half an hour to just take a moment to stop, center, know what this day means, and encourage one another as we move forward together.